to Arkansas's rock and roll blowtorch.
Live via satellite from Hollywood, AT&T is very happy to bring you Rockline, North America's #1 interactive radio program. How you doing? I'm Steve Downs. Rockline is brought to you by 1-800-CALL-ATT. Dial it always to get a lower price than 1-800-COLLECT for all interstate calls. And by the Air Force. Learn tomorrow's skills in today's Air Force. Tonight's Rockline gives you a lesson in British slang and invites you to ring us up and have a chat with the members of Def Leppard. To do so, our toll-free number is 1-800-344-ROCK. Translation, 1-800-344-7625. Well, much as a comet's orbit makes its appearance in the sky very rarely, so too the infrequency of a Def Leppard release. But also like a comet, when it comes around, it gets everybody's attention, and that is certainly the case with the release of Def Leppard's 6th album, Slang. And in case you haven't heard, this Def Leppard is charting a new course. With us live tonight are 4 of the 5 members of the band. Lead vocalist Joe Elliott. Joe, good to have you back.
Good evening.
Good to see you.
Nice to be here.
On guitars, Phil Collin.
Hello.
And Vivian Campbell.
Hello there.
And, of course, on bass tonight, Rick Savage.
Hello there.
And on bass most nights, I imagine.
I would hope so, yes. Unless the guys have got other plans.
And a hearty hello to drummer Rick Allen, who could not be with us. Hi, Rick, out there, wherever you are. Joe, through a lot of the band's career, it seems like, well, certainly since Pyromania, the band has sort of been faced with the challenge of always topping themselves. That's kind of the price you pay for success.
That's good. That's English slang for killing yourself.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
See, so there's the first slang. There's the first slang double entendre.
It's going to be a silly night.
There we go. Do you think the change in musical direction that's on Slang may put a rest to that for you guys for now, in terms of sort of having to be, better than Pyromania and better than Hysteria? You're really kind of in a going in a bit of a different direction.
We're always going to want to keep getting better. So the quality thing is not really a question. Maybe the speed thing can change a little bit, because even this album still took us about 9-10 months to do.
Right.
But we do like to live with things for a little while. But the thing that has been a bugbear for us all the time is like, how do you top that?
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be hard following Pyromania. And then we did, and then that went ballistic with Hysteria, and then it's like, come on, where do you go from there?
Really? Rick, I'm wondering the location. I'm sure we'll get into this tonight during the show, but the location of where you recorded Slang, how much of that do you think had to do with what the record ended up sounding like?
I think it had a lot to do with it, really. We made a conscious decision quite early on how we want the record to sound and in what kind of environment we wanted to record it. We wanted it to be completely... We got really so sick of making records the way that we did, and we wanted a fresh, a new start, and a slightly different type of challenge. We didn't want to go into a recording studio, and because most recording studios are like dungeons anyway, and we wanted it to be just a lot more happy, open atmosphere where all 5 guys in the group were actually contributing to the record most of the time, as opposed to in the past there's been many occasions where we'd just one individual's involved for 3 months and then somebody else comes in. We didn't want to work like that anymore. We wanted it to be more of a band thing.
Vivian and Phil, this one's kind of for the both of you. It's sort of interesting that Vivian's been with the band, 3 years?
4.
4 years.
Kind of, babe.
and this is his first record.
Yeah, I was in my 20s when I joined.
That was a long audition. That was a very long audition. They had many opportunities to change their mind. Obviously, they didn't. And for the both of you, what's that like? Because that's sort of an unusual situation to, have a guy in the band for that long. And just by happenstance, the way it worked out, a new Def Leppard album did not come out until now.
Well, we've actually had 3 albums out. We had Retroactive come out, which Viv actually played on, some of the songs on that. And we had the greatest hits. So that took up a lot of time as well. Everyone goes, no releases from you guys. But we did, we had to put some energy into some of that. But that's probably another one of the reasons. Also, the fact that we tour for so long. You know, we was out on tour for a year and a half last time. And so it's not a surprise to us that this is the first real studio album that Viv's been on.
Yeah, Vivian had 241 auditions.
That's right, really.
That's the amount of shows we did on the last tour.
Well, at least he's in the group. We haven't officially offered Phil the gig yet. He just turned up like 16 years ago and never left.
I took a look at the itinerary, and it looks like this one is going to be another long night out for Def Leppard.
Yeah.
We'll talk about we'll try to get as many of those tour dates in tonight as we possibly can. First single from the new album. This song has a bit of a biographical feel to it. At least that's the way I heard it, and it's written by Vivian Campbell, and it's called "Work It Out" on Rockline. Work It Out, Def Leppard. The album is Slang. By the way, that is Rick Allen on acoustic drums. We were just talking about that. So that's the first time since 1984 he's recorded.
It's the first time since 1981 that he's actually played acoustic drums on record.
Is that, wow.
He played electric.
82.
He played electric drums on Pyromania.
So wow, what a I'm sure personal accomplishment for him, and
big time,
and a great sound. Work It Out from Def Leppard. We are spending the next 90 minutes with the band, and it's time for us to stop down here, sell a little something. But when we return, you, the interactive fans, will be speaking live with Def Leppard. So get on the phone, give us a call, 1-800-344-ROCK. Rockline is brought to you by 1-800-CALL-ATT. Dial it to always get a lower price than 1-800-COLLECT for all interstate calls.
On Magic 105.
We are back live, and before we get to your toll-free calls for Def Leppard, we want to say hi to all the fine folks listening to the show right now on Laser 103 in Milwaukee. We thank you for making us a part of your station. We've done our part. Now it's up to you. Call us. We want to get you on the air tonight and every single Monday night. Otherwise, it wouldn't be interactive radio then, would it? Rockline, give us a call, 1-800-344-ROCK. Our first stop tonight, Dallas, Texas. Actually, Keene, Texas, to be exact. Q102 in Dallas is our station. That's what Gil is listening to. Gil, you're on with Def Leppard.
Cool. I was wondering how recording in Spain altered the sound of this album.
I think recording in a house altered the sound. You know, we used home demo equipment, you know, stuff that you could buy really quite cheap. And you know, I think buying all that stuff would have cost 1 day in a regular studio in some places. And I think just a general attitude, you know, we were in a great sunny place. It was kind of just a really great environment. And I think if you're happy in your environment, you're going to, you know, have pleasure in recording in your work. It was really good.
It's sort of reminiscent of, you know, when the Stones used to take the mobile truck to the south of France, or Zeppelin used to go to, you know, Boulevard. Or
well, that was a blueprint, actually.
Yeah,
that was, we want to do that, you know.
Kind of a nice way to do it. Thanks, Gil, for getting us started. Ryan in Thunder Bay, Ontario, listening to 94 FM CJSD. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, I think you guys are the best. I got all your CDs, including your latest.
Thank you very much.
I think it's real cool, your new one, too.
Thank you.
Okay, my first question is, I got 2 of them. Is the Work It Out demo ever going to be available that Vivian wrote?
Yeah.
God forbid.
The Work It Out demo?
Apparently it's on the flip side of something. I'm not sure what.
In Europe, they have what they call format singles, and what they do is they release a CD single with like maybe 3 tracks on it. You know, that the main. You can't really call them A-sides anymore because they're all on the same side.
Yeah, right.
But track 1, and then it'll be like 2 B-sides or something, and then 2 weeks later they release the same A-side again with 2 different B-sides. It's like a collectible thing.
Oh, I see.
And one of the formats for Work It Out, which is going to be the next single in Britain, has got the demo for Work It Out on.
Oh, tremendous.
And normally, it's funny from Canada, right?
Yes.
They are normally available in Canada, more Southern America, actually, these things. So it'll be an import thing, or actually maybe available up there.
Okay, Ryan, look for that, and also look for Def Leppard. There's a lot of Canadian dates we have to pass along there, and also Happy Victoria Day to everyone up in Canada this evening. Josh, listening in Kettering, Ohio to 104.7 WTUE in Dayton tonight. Hey, Josh.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
Man.
Wanted to let you guys know that you guys are my very favorite band in the entire world. Loved you guys since 6th grade, and it's great talking to you guys. I wanted to ask you, Joe specifically, I noticed the lyrics on Slang sort of have a darker tone to them than on the previous releases, and if there was any reasoning behind that, and what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, we decided to grow up, basically. You know, we've been kind of banded around for a while as being like kings of adolescent rock, and it just got boring. You know, I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I find it very difficult to think about writing Let's Get Rocked again or something like that. It's a little bit, I think you can do it again when you're about 45, when you're really sad.
Yeah.
You can't, you know, you can become senile and you don't care.
That's right.
Right now I do. And anybody that's written lyrics on this album, which has basically been, the four of us in here have contributed a lot to the lyrics. We just made it wasn't a conscious effort like pushing or forcing the point.
Right.
It just came very natural to actually write and express views about things that we've not necessarily touched in the past, because we've always gone on the happy side of things. And this time round, we just wanted to reflect what real life has been like for everybody in the band over the last 4 or 5 years. Some of it's personal, some of it is just what you see through the eyes of CNN or whatever.
Right.
And like, life's not always happy, so, you know, sometimes you're in a bit of a pissed off mood, then you go for it, you know.
Josh, thanks for the call. This next cut, as Joe alluded to, everybody has contributed lyrically and musically in one way or another. This particular track written by the 4 members who are with us tonight here on Rockline, and that's The Truth. It's a huge rock. One of the finer points of Gibraltar, but that's for a geography show we'll do later. The song is called Truth. That's actually the lead-off track from Slang, from Def Leppard, who are with us tonight here on Rockline. Ruth, she's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, listening to 93.5 WTPA this evening. Hi, Ruth.
Hi.
Hi, Ruth.
Hello, Ruth.
Hello. Def Lips here. I loved your spectacular shows.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a simple question, and it might take a while to answer. Slang has some spiritual undertones. Is it the deals of the band as a whole, or is it just the beliefs of a few of you that goes along with Buddhism and Hinduism culture?
Sorry, say that again. What? Say the last bit. No, seriously, I missed that.
Yeah, I see the Buddha or the Hindu inside the cover.
That's absolutely nothing to do with the album at all. That was just the people who done the artwork for the sleeve design. They that was their translation. They heard some of the songs. I guess some of the Indian instruments on Turn to Dust kind of influenced them to put that on the sleeve. And we liked it. It kind of went with the flavour of everything. So we said, yeah, it's cool.
But no conscious effort on any of yours part in terms of a Buddhist philosophy or a Hindu philosophy? Or...
No, it's just that's just how they read it, basically. And we thought it was cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Ruth. Peggy in Pembroke Pines, Florida. She's listening to Zeta in Miami tonight, 94.9. Peggy, you're on with Def Leppard.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, Peggy.
Good.
I just have one question. You guys have so many great rock riffs. How do you keep thinking of new ones?
Just listen to other ones and turn them backwards. No, I'm kidding.
Steal them from an album that nobody's heard.
There you go.
Just, I guess, listening to lots of types of music, you know, not just rock genre stuff, you know, R&B, bit of jazz, blues, everything. And I think if you're open-minded, you can keep improving and keep coming up with good ideas.
Rick, Joe talked about the fact that all 4 of you were involved in the writing process, and also conspicuous in his absence in the writing process was Mutt Lang this time around. Did you guys interact differently in a writing capacity because of the fact that it was everything on this record is from the band and the band alone?
I think the good thing about it is that the individuals were all present most of the time, and that made a big difference. Regardless of whether, say, Phil wrote the whole song, it still went through a process of everybody, like, putting their little bit in to actually Def Leppardize it, or whoever individual brought the song to the table. I think in the past, because we always worked with Mutt, and it was always on an individual basis. This is the great thing about that we did on this album.
A true group
it really was really a group effort, regardless of which individual wrote the song, you know.
Mark is in Sarnia, Ontario, listening to the riff across the way there in Detroit tonight. Hi, Mark.
Hi guys. How you doing?
Oh yeah, Mark.
When you play live, how do you determine how loud it has to be? And do you take decibel readings for the safety of the audience?
Oh, yeah.
Do you work for the government?
This is a trick question.
Do you work for the gig down there? No, when we first started out, they used to have decibel meters in the clubs, and the trick was you used to get a big lump of putty and just slap it over this thing so it wouldn't work, so you could turn everything up, because otherwise the power just cut out.
We're actually not that loud as a rock band, guy. I was trying to tell someone this the other day. I think if you have good sounds going in through the PA, it's a very machismo attitude just to turn it up and hurt people's ears, and it's not something that we condone. You know, we try and make the music sound good. So, you know, it doesn't have to, we have to bludgeon you with volume.
But it's also a question, it's not necessarily, as Phil says, the volume, it is the actual sounds. You can actually have a guitar that sounds quite loud, but if it's sounding right, it won't be half as offensive as something that's maybe not as loud.
Yeah. And if it
sounds like it's cutting your head off.
If you get too loud, then you lose all the dynamics of the music.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've always liked to be a heavy group, but there's more to us than just plain heaviness. I mean, there's a lot of vocals that go on stage, and we have to be able to sing, and to do that we have to be able to hear what we're singing.
We have a lot of shows to tell you about. The band actually is going to spend most of the rest of this month and a good part of June in the Far East: Bangkok, Singapore, Jakarta, Manila, lots of dates in Japan. And then the American tour starts in Kalamazoo, Michigan on the 26th. They'll follow that with dates in the Cleveland area at the Blossom Music Center in Noblesville, Tennessee on the 29th of June, and in Milwaukee at the Summerfest there on the 30th. And that is just the beginning. We have a lot more to tell you about on where you can see Def Leppard this summer all over the world, really. And you'll be able to talk to them right here on Rockline when we return on the Global Satellite Network.
Magic 105.
As our Canadian listeners are celebrating Victoria today, we're gearing up for our big first holiday of the summer, Memorial Day, which is this coming weekend. And we'll be wrapping it up here on Rockline a week from tonight with what promises to be a very memorable Rockline show featuring music from the soundtrack to the motion picture The Cable Guy, the new one from Jim Carrey. Joining us here will be Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, also Mike McCready from Pearl Jam with his side project band he calls $10,000 Gold Chain, playing live for us, and a couple of special surprises as well. Hope you'll join us for that. The music from the Cable Guy soundtrack. That'll be a week from tonight exclusively on Interactive Radio Rockline. My name is Steve Downs, joined in our Hollywood studios here by 4 of the 5 members of Def Leppard, who became the very definition of rock in the 80s. Indeed, the rock of ages. I still love that laugh. That's a very sinister laugh you got working for you there, Joe.
Evil.
Rock of Ages. And they're all singing along to that one, of course, from Def Leppard. Joe, Vivian, Rick, and Phil with us from the band tonight. By the way, you can catch them in July on the 2nd in Cincinnati, Columbus on the 3rd, outside the Chicago area on the 5th, Charlevoix, Michigan on the 6th, and July 7th in Clarkston, Michigan, Burgettstown, PA on the 9th, and in Toronto, rather, on the 10th of July. And we'll have many more to tell you about. Billy in Park Ridge, Illinois, listening to 103.9 The Wabbit in Chicago. Billy, you'll be checking them out, I'm sure, when they get up to your neighborhood here in July, right?
Oh, absolutely. My question for you guys was, are there any songs that you don't like to play from your old albums now, and why?
Yes, well, let's have answers.
Go for it.
I always get lumbered with this one because I think I was the first one to stamp my foot and said, I'm not really comfortable singing mow the lawn, take out the trash, tidy your room. It's like a joke that you hear for the first time. It was good at the time, but when you have to do it 200 times on tour, it got a bit of a there are some things from our past that we feel uncomfortable with But generally, I mean, going back earlier than that, we kind of like some of our very older stuff. There's some of the stuff off the High and Dry album we still think is valid, and we'll be playing some stuff from that on the forthcoming tour. But there's a couple of things off Adrenalize that we probably feel a little less comfortable with.
There's also like Wasted. I mean, I haven't drank in over 9 years, and it's not very sincere, you know what I mean?
It's loses its meaning now.
Yeah, it kind of does. So you got to be happy with what you do.
Yeah.
So
It's me that has to sing the words, though.
No, we have to sing the backup vocals. Yeah, you know, we have to sing as well.
It's like every time you open your mouth, you're thinking, oh, dear me.
So some of them will be gone.
There you go. Frank in Canton, Georgia, listening to 96X in Augusta tonight. Frank, you're on with Def Leppard.
Hi, guys.
Hiya.
My question is, what's your opinion about bootlegging? You like it or not?
I've got hundreds and hundreds of bootlegs on CD and tape and stuff, so I mean, you know, I can't say that, you know, I'm sure our record company would be going nuts.
Yeah, right.
But,
Well, there's different types of bootlegging
yeah,
as
I mean,
well.
bootlegging official merchandise, official albums is completely out of order. I personally have no problem with the live stuff because I don't think people buy it instead. I think they buy it as well. And as long as it's a good performance by the band, that's, you know, it's fine by me. I don't mind.
There you go, Frank. Margaret in Edmonton, Alberta, listening to Edmonton's only Rock the Bear tonight. Hi, Margaret.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi. I want a special hello to Phil.
Hi.
Do you remember me, Phil? Edmonton.
I do actually. Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah.
It's really good to hear from you.
You too.
What's your question there, Margaret? Or is it okay, Phil, that she ask a question?
Yeah, far away.
Should we end this right now?
I was wondering why you didn't use the logo that you always have, the yellow and red.
Good question.
Well, the sound of the record's completely different as well. It's kind of, we look a bit different. It seemed a natural way to go as well. We kind of got a bit tired of it. Also, like the stage, you know, the in the round thing, we got kind of tired of that, and it was just time to change. And the logo was one of the things that also kind of just went. You know, it was just time.
Also, you obviously don't know Phil that well because he's the last person to ask in this group about colours because the guy's colourblind.
Is that right?
He thinks it's black and white.
It's funny the things that you notice and don't notice, but I had not noticed that the Def Leppard logo was gone until Margaret brought it up.
Yeah.
There. Well, Margaret, you can get reacquainted with Phil and the rest of the guys when the band comes to Edmonton. They'll be up there in September on the 6th at the Edmonton Coliseum. Much has been said about, and even tonight, about the new musical direction, and I think it was also alluded to with Def Leppard that, and I think this tune illustrates it quite well, the new lyrical maturity of this band on Rockline. This is called Gift of Flesh. That's another track from the new one, Slang, from Def Leppard. The song is called Gift of Flesh. See the band at the Darien Center in New York on the 13th of July. I'm sorry, the 12th, on the 13th in Hartford, Camden, New Jersey on the 14th, Mansfield, Massachusetts on the 16th, Wantagh, New York on the 17th, and July 19th in Middletown, New York. Some of the Def Leppard dates where you can catch the band. Back to the phone, Jay in Jacksonville tonight, listening to Rock 105 WF. YV in Jacksonville. Jay.
Hey. How's it going?
Hey, Jake.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
All right. Good talking to you guys, man. I love y'all's music.
Thank you. Thanks.
Glad to hear y'all out with another album. My question for you guys is, why wasn't the song I Want to Be Your Hero on the Greatest Hits CD and not on Hysteria?
Well, it wasn't a hit, so that's why we didn't put it on Vault, on the Greatest Hits. And by the time we'd got the 12 songs for Hysteria, that one kind of fell by the wayside. You know, we were into the other 12 songs. They were obviously the ones we wanted to put on there. In fact, we was a bit stuck for a choice of what one to leave off. So that's why we put all the 12 on, and that one wasn't quite finished off.
Thanks, Jay. Sean in Rochester, New York. 96 WCMF is our station up there. Hey, Sean.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
You guys are my best band. I mean, my favorite band. I've been waiting for 4 years to hear your next album. But my question is for Joe.
Hi.
And I read an article with an interview with you, and you seemed somewhat sarcastic towards MTV. And I was wondering how you felt about that.
Sarcastic. How old is this interview? I do probably about 40 a week, and they tend to be like breakfast. You don't really remember them. I don't remember being sarcastic, mate. Sometimes things in print, unless you heard this one, things in print don't always come across the way that they are actually said.
Do you remember the context, Sean, or anything more specific about it?
I believe it might have been Metal Edge. Seemed like they didn't play your videos enough or something like that.
I can't remember the last time I did an interview with Metal Edge, but there you go.
Don't look at me.
No, I mean, I think that MTV was very valid for a lot of rock bands in the 80s, and nowadays, if I was being sarcastic, I was probably just making comment the fact that there seems to be too many game shows on it nowadays and not enough videos.
The music element of music television seems to have
it was great when it first came out. It's like anything else. It was new, it was vibrant, and it was as exciting as the internet is right now, which maybe that's going to be passé in 10 years' time, who knows. But back in 83, when we first toured America, every time we checked into a hotel, it's like... If they didn't have cable, we moved out, you know. Because you had just videos all day long, and it was great because there's Van Halen, and there was a lot of great stuff on at the time. Right. And now it seems to be. I think we're just all missing downtown Julie Brown. Yeah,
maybe that's what it all boils down to. Let's talk to Susie. She's in Texas. The band's going to be doing a lot of dates down there. Susie's in Austin, listening to KLBJ FM 93.7 tonight. Susie.
Hi.
Hi, Susie.
Hello. I got a question for Joe.
Hi.
I've been wanting to draw up your horoscope for ages, and I have that you were born August 1st in Sheffield.
That's right.
Some of the magazines said 1959, and others said 1960.
1959.
And also, what time of day?
I think
you were wearing a watch at the time, John.
I was wearing a watch at the time. I remember thinking, my God, I'm 14 days late, and I've been late ever since. I think it was around about 5:15, 5:20 a.m.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's probably Gemini rising then.
Obviously,
I thought so. Actually, it's something we often discuss.
That's right. But that again is another show. Thank you, Susie.
I've never heard it called Gemini before.
I know, but it works for me. I don't know. It sounds good.
We're back to the growth thing.
Sign up now to win one of our, as he segues right into the copy, to one of our 1996 Rockline AT&T calendars signed by the guests that we get to scribble on them during the month of May, and we're asking the guys here from Def Leppard to do that this evening. If you'd like to win one, send us a postcard with your name, address, the station you're listening to right now. Maybe you can guys put where you were born and your birthdays and exactly what time, if possible, if you could get that information on there.
Okay.
And what's rising and what isn't.
And what's not.
Send it to Rockline Calendar, P.O. Box 4383, Hollywood 90078. The 96 Rockline calendars are made possible by your friends at Rockline and our friends at AT&T.
More of Rockline on Magic 105.
We are back live, and as if speaking with the members of Def Leppard live on the radio wasn't enough, you'll also receive a copy of Slang if you do get on the radio tonight with Def Leppard. That's courtesy of the generous promotions department. We love them like brothers at Mercury Records. They're our friends. 90 minutes of Def Leppard tonight. That's what we got going. Once again, from the new CD Slang, this is called Deliver Me on Rockline. Def Leppard from the album Slang, that is Deliver Me. 4 of the 5 members of the band with us this evening. Michelle is on the Rockline now. She's listening to 97.5 WONE in the Akron, Canton, Cleveland area. She's in Parma tonight. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good, Michelle.
Good. First of all, I wanted to say this is like making my life just talking to you.
That's nice.
My question is, I wanted to know, there's a lot of Indian-type music on the new album, well, not a lot, a couple songs, and I was wondering who played those instruments. Did you guys do that, or did you have someone else come in?
No, we got someone else to come in, and we got a guy called Craig Pruis to come in and do some string arrangements and stuff, and tablas and lots of Indian instruments. But basically, the song Turn to Dust, it started off, the melody was very kind of Eastern influence, and that it kind of went from there. Really, we just kept adding stuff to it.
Thanks, Michelle. Beth in Dundalf, I believe that is. I hope I'm saying that right, Beth.
Dundalf.
Dundalf? Close enough. Whatever you say. She's listening to Toronto's Best Rock Q107. Beth, what's your question for Def Leppard tonight?
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi.
I most recently seen you guys when you played Much Music at the Internet, Intimate and Interactive.
Right.
I didn't really get in, but anyway, I was just wondering where your favorite place was to tour and why.
North America, because it's rock music is part of American culture, you know, and it's where it come from. It's where it's at home most, and it's kind of fun playing here, you know. That includes Canada, by the way.
Of course. Thanks, Beth, for the call. They'll be in Toronto on the 10th of July. Some other dates to pass along for Def Leppard. Allentown, Pennsylvania. On the 28th, and that's July. Okay, my copy kind of ran out here. Homedale, New Jersey on the 21st. Bristol, Virginia on the 23rd. Virginia Beach on the 24th. These are all in July. Raleigh, North Carolina on the 26th, the 27th in Charlotte. Birmingham on the 28th. Maryland Heights, Maryland on the 30th. And the 31st of July in Little Rock. Def Leppard. Who are you going out with, by the way, is... who will be
a band called Tripping Daisy.
Oh, Tripping Daisy.
From Dallas.
Yeah.
And
they got a girl, and she wears girls' clothes.
They got a girl somewhere.
And she wears girls' clothes.
Yeah, we look forward, actually, to having them out. They sound like they'd be a fun band.
Yeah, the album's great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sounds like that'll be a lot of fun. We talked about this a little earlier in the show with Joe. Having a multi-platinum album can be a bit of a double-edged sword because topping yourself for many bands...
There you go again.
I know, I'm sorry. Topping or killing yourself can prove to be almost impossible for a lot of groups. Def Leppard not only did that, becoming the first rock band to sell consecutive albums with over 9 million sold, they doubled the success of Pyromania with this CD on Rockline, Hysteria. Def Leppard. Title track to Hysteria, I think it was about 16 million last count.
Maybe, approaching that.
Wow.
Who's counting anyway?
That's right.
We stopped a long time ago.
Let's take it to Palm Springs. That always sounds like a good idea. Mark is listening to 93.7 KCLB in Palm Springs tonight. Hi, Mark.
Hey, guys. Hello from Palm Springs tonight.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, Joe, say hello to Bobby for me. And Viv, this is Crazy Mark.
Crazy Mark? Oh, no.
How you doing? Anyway, I'll get right to my question. It's for Phil. I know Paul Rogers covered Miss You in a Heartbeat on the Law album. It did an excellent job, if I may add. I was wondering if yourself or any of the other guys have written songs that were recorded by other artists.
Yeah, Joe done a thing, and a band in Canada called Helix covered it. This is going back. It's a long time ago.
She's Too Tough.
Yeah. And we actually put that on the retroactive album, She's Too Tough, our version. But I'm sure there must be a few more kicking around. But and there's some... Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Millie Jackson.
And worst, the Chippendales did it too.
Yeah, Pour Some Sugar on Me's kind of been the brunt of it, but I'm sure there's a few more kicking around. So if you hear of any, let us know.
Yeah. The Chippendales thing was purely because it was the strippers' anthem of '88, you know.
That's right.
You couldn't go to a strip bar without
How do you know, Steve?
We had heard. I had heard
so
reports,
told,
actually.
right?
Yes, right. So
Gemini Rising again.
Exactly. Crazy Mark sounds like he's aptly named.
I remember him, actually, from Dio days.
I bet you Mark will be sliding on over to Irvine, California to catch the band when they play there in August on the 28th at Irvine Meadows. Some more dates. Dallas at the Starplex in August on the 2nd. Austin on the 3rd, Woodlands, Texas on the 4th, catch him in Florida at West Palm Beach on the 14th of August, Atlanta on the 16th, Antioch, Tennessee on the 17th, with Def Leppard and Tripping Daisy playing with Def Leppard on the American leg of the tour. Melissa in Edwardville, Illinois, listening to KC 95 tonight in St. Louis. Melissa, you're on with Def Leppard.
How are you guys? I've listened to you since I've been 5, so it's been a while.
How old are you now?
Oh,
if you don't mind me
17.
asking. 7. Okay. Well, you never know.
Probably been longer for you, though. Well, my question was, I've seen that you've done solo projects, and I was wondering if there's anybody you would like to work with that you haven't.
It's a good question, actually. I mean, I'm sure there's one thing having an ambition to do other things, but really our heart and soul is with the group. And this is Sav speaking, and it's a real honour to work with such fantastic musicians that there's nowhere to go after being with these guys.
Where's the sick bag?
And put it this way, I don't think anybody else will have me.
It's actually very hard working with other musicians because we have a certain way of doing things, seriously. That's some people would actually think we were completely nuts. And at least we can all put up with it, with each other, and I think that's really important. It sounds silly, but I think it's true.
Thanks, Melissa. James in LaGrange, Georgia, listening to WVRK Rock 103 in Columbus tonight.
Hi, guys.
Hi. How you doing?
My question is, in the changing face of rock today and the styles, how they're changing basically every day, how do you maintain to keep out of a rut musically?
Listen to lots of different music, go with your nose, get inspired, that's the secret to any of it. That's the key, is to be inspired and get influenced by. There's some great stuff out there. You don't have to just limit it to rock to get your influences from. So it's be open-minded. That's what we try and do.
I think that's the good thing. I mean, you mentioned that it can be hard when styles are changing, but I think in actual fact that's what makes it work, because styles do change, and you're always aware of the changing scene. And I think if you can relate that to what you do, I think it'll always remain pretty fresh.
We're about ready to go to break here, but I want to go around the room real quickly. Other than rock and roll, when you want to listen to whatever you feel like listening to, what kind of music would it be, Joe?
Rock and roll.
So other than rock and roll, you'll stick with Viv?
I love pop music, melodies, simple stuff.
Sav?
I'm afraid I'd probably be stealing Vivian's collection, yeah.
Okay. And Phil?
I like R&B.
There you go. James, thanks for the call, and we will have more of your phone calls and more from the new album, too. Slang, it's called, from Def Leppard, live on the Global Satellite Network. Don't go away.
More of Rockline on Magic 105.
Back live, Steve Downs here with the members of Def Leppard joining us tonight. Most of what you're hearing this evening is from the brand new CD, Slang, and this particular song title has been brought up a couple of times as an example of the new direction and some untraditional type things that you'll hear on the Slang CD. Rockline with Def Leppard, this is Turn to Dust. Turn to Dust, new one from Def Leppard. I believe that's Vivian on the lead, is it not?
That's me playing slide guitar, yeah.
Very
what can I tell you?
Vivian Campbell there on the slide. Patty in San Antonio, Texas, listening to 99.5 KISS tonight. Patty.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Patty.
How you doing?
Good.
My question is, how did you come up with this song, Turn to Dust?
That was Phil's department, really.
Yeah.
He's responsible for that.
Well, I wrote it, and like I was saying earlier, the melody of it kind of was very kind of Eastern for some reason. It kind of lent in that direction, and we just kept adding in Indian instruments to it. I kind of drafted out the string arrangement on a guitar, and then we took it to this Indian expert who kind of added stuff. Then we added some dal, which is like an Indian drum, and there's a bunch of stuff on there, so it's... It was really interesting. It didn't sound overdone.
Isn't there a guy that used to play with the Beatles on it as well?
Yeah, the opening thing's a sarangi. It's called, it's like a bowed Indian instrument. And when I was in India, I bought this CD, this guy called Ram Narayan, and he played on some of the 60s Beatles stuff.
Oh, is that right?
And we used it as a sample, just as an idea, really, and it stuck, and we got so used to it that we ended up putting a real sarangi on as well, and we use a part of that as well.
Patty, thanks for the call. You'll catch Def Leppard there in Austin, of course, on the 3rd of August. More shows. Man, you guys are going to be out for a long time. In August, you can see Def Leppard, Oklahoma City on the 20th, on the 21st at Bonner Springs, Kansas, Denver on the 23rd, Park City, Utah on the 24th, Phoenix on the 26th, San Diego on the 27th, Irvine, California, and Orange County on the 28th, Sacramento on the 30th, and August 31st, Mountain View, California at the Shoreline Amphitheater. Sarah in Harrington, Connecticut, listening to I-95 in Bridgeport tonight. You're on with Def Leppard. What's your question?
Hi, guys. I just want to say I love you guys. I think you're great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
I know you guys have a fan club, and I've tried joining a couple times, but never got any response, and I was wondering how I could go about joining your fan club.
Oh, the old chestnut silver's the best.
Is this not your
We thought
department?
we'd lasted the whole program without a fan club question.
We've had a lot of problems with the fan club. Some of them have been unavoidable. A lot of them have been avoidable, and the avoidable ones have been tackled. The best thing you can do is just write in again. I'm sure something will happen this time around. Everything's been computerized now, and it's all under. In fact, the fan club's closed down, and we've opened a InfoActive network thing, just to update it a little bit.
We also have a website.
We've got a website as well.
Get into that.
So there you go. So is that information on the CD, the website info? I don't recall
I don't
seeing
think it is, actually. I think it's a recent addition.
All right. We'll try to get that for you, Sarah, and you can call us here maybe during the week, and we'll pass that information along to you. Kara in Johnston, Rhode Island, listening to WHJY in Providence tonight. Kara? Oh, Kara.
Hello.
Hi, you're on Rockline with Def Leppard.
Hey, good evening.
Hello.
I just have a really quick question. A lot of bands have come and gone. Why do you think that Def Leppard has stood the test of time?
That's a question that's actually quite difficult to answer within the group. I mean, we only ever really sit down and think about it when people actually ask us that type of question in interviews. And I suppose we really enjoy doing what we're doing, and we're not very good at anything else. So we do basically, we like each other's company, we like the music that we do, and we believe in it. And it's basically a question of honesty between each other, and we like doing what we do. That's the best ingredient I think that any band can possibly have, regardless of what music they do.
People used to talk about the length of time between records, and I know that somebody had said once that this band was, you guys were perfectionists. It had to be exactly right the way you wanted it before it would go out. And there was a story that even in the very, very early days, Steve Clark at one time threatened to quit the band because...
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah.
Because you guys kept rehearsing and wouldn't go out and do a gig.
Yeah.
So it goes that far. But do you think that feeling is still there, or you feel you've relaxed a little bit in that?
We've relaxed, but we don't want to release a record if we're not happy with it. We could have released Slang about a year ago, and it wasn't ready. It is at least 100% better than it would have been, if we'd have released it back then. And now we're really proud, we're happy with it. It's turned out exactly as we wanted it to. And it would have been a compromise if we'd have put it out any earlier, and we weren't prepared to do that. So there's a bit of that in there still.
Title track to Slang, Def Leppard on Rockline. Slang, Def Leppard title track to the new one. We'll have more coming back on the Global Satellite Network.
Hour of Rockline on Magic 105.
I can't believe it. We almost got through all of the Def Leppard dates through September. Let me just mention that they will be spending the majority of September in Canada, including dates in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Sudbury, Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City, St. John, Halifax, just to name a few.
That's in a day.
And then the next day, they'll be in... thanks tonight to everybody listening and for dialing up. We always appreciate it. A week from tonight, Memorial Weekend, we'll wind down with an evening of music from the soundtrack to Jim Carrey's new film, The Cable Guy. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam will be playing live with us. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains will join us. Maybe a phone call or two from some other guys you may be familiar with. Coming up soon, a double bill featuring a couple of new bands that you've been hearing on the radio. The Verve Pipe and also The Hunger. June 10th, Soundgarden returns to Rockline. June 17th, The Smashing Pumpkins, and a lot more coming up this summer. Special thanks to Cliff Bernstein and Sue Tropio studio at Q Prime, to Malvin Mortimer for his assistance, to Drew Murray, Bruce Hartley, and Laura the Rock Chick at Mercury Records, and finally to says right there, that's her real name, by the way, and also to our guests tonight, of course, Joe, Rick, Vivian, and Phil. Def Leppard, welcome back. First of all, man, it's
great to be back. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
good to have you guys back, and be looking forward
Always
to
a pleasure.
seeing you this summer. My name is Steve Downs. See ya. This has been Rockline, brought to you by 1-800-CALL-ATT. Dial it to always get a lower price than 1-800-COLLECT for all interstate calls. And by the Air Force. Learn tomorrow's skills in today's Air Force. The superior sound of Rockline was made possible in part by Telus Zephyr. Rockline is engineered by Jimmy Rash, Oscar Gutierrez, and Adele Martin. Technical direction by Greg Jernigan. Associate producer Kat Williams. Thanks to Ken Hoffman, Maria Lang, and Felicia Bamar, and Michelle DeCiso for their studio assistance. Rockline is produced by Jim Villanueva. Executive producer Howard Gilman. I'm Steve Downs. Rockline is an exclusive presentation of the Global Satellite Network.